I've tasked myself with playing Kliff for 1 month in Guilty Gear Plus R. He's a character that's always interested me, mainly just because he's got a big sword and it looked really fun to swing around. But below that, he's a character that can absolutely devastate his opponent with massive damage in just a single opening. But that comes with the trade-off of him himself being very fragile, with a low stun resistance, moves that build up his own stun meter, and some moves having a chance to fail if his stun is too high. If an opponent opens you up really just twice in quick succession, it's very possible for Kliff just to get stunned and he just dies in kind of just a matter of seconds. I'm going to go over my weekly updates for this month and end it with an overall impressions of the character, what I think I could still work on, and stuff like that. But before we get into it, just want to give a quick shout out to my Discord server, which is linked down in the description below. We have a growing community, we got net play roles, stuff like that. I also have channel memberships turned on if you wanted to support this channel financially. It's not required or anything, but it is an option there. Just wanted to give a quick shout out for it. Alright, let's get into it. Week 1 was interesting. Starting from nothing, I just wanted to get used to his buttons, nail down a basic combo strategy, and the things that really stuck out to me was just how massive his slash and heavy slash buttons were. While they are slow, they control a great amount of space that makes Kliff very threatening from a good distance. His combo theory was also pretty straightforward. Really just land a button and then try to either combo into 2D for an easy taunt Oki, or combo into drill so you can then combo that into 2S, 236S, which then can set up Oki with a 236P fireball. For those unaware, Kliff's taunt is pretty unique where it spawns multiple projectiles that slowly bounce across the ground, resulting in them being a great tool to lock down your opponent. But I also learned that comboing into 236S is also vital for Kliff, because once you start being able to FRC this move, his punish options open up drastically. I knew I needed to start grinding this FRC point ASAP. Week 2 was a bit of a continuation of the concepts I learned in week 1. I was overall getting much more comfortable in neutral. While his buttons cover a lot of space, I was getting opened up for pressing them at bad times. While his slash and heavy slash buttons are absolutely wild and they're super fun to press, I needed to start pressing them with a little bit more thought and meaning. There was one time I was facing Amelia and they just kind of danced in and out of my far slash range, and I absolutely pressed a button every single time, and that's when it became super apparent to me that I was just mashing. I was hitting buttons and I was getting blown up for it. Another thing I was doing very poorly was just my Oki in general. I was focused on combos, and when I did score an advantageous position, I just really wasn't making anything meaningful out of it. A lot of times I would just return to neutral, and Kliff has some very solid options for Oki, and I was just kind of ignoring them, so I definitely needed to get that in my brain and start using options like that. Week 3 is really focused on just tightening up this game plan. I began learning the usefulness of his punch and kick buttons. While they are very short range, and I mean really stubby, if the opponent's in range of them, they're extremely strong tools. Some that stuck out to me was 5K. This is an absolutely crazy button with a huge amount of untechable time. Option selecting it with throw became a very useful option to escape certain situations. 6P, especially with a partial charge, absolutely cranks the opponent's stun meter. I am constantly looking for ways to squeeze that in, and then when I see that icon start flashing red, it feels like there's blood in the water, and I desperately try to get the stun in so I can just whack them on the head with a fat 6H. I also started trying to not instant air dash like all the time. It was making my movement very predictable. Then I also tried using P Fireball more. This move is great for pressure as it's +3 on block. If it's FRC'd, it gains almost 30 frames advantage. This was great for keeping my turn when I would previously probably just let it go and return to neutral. Week 4 was where I finally felt like the tools started to come together pretty well. I had a good understanding of the buttons I was pressing and what I was getting into when I pressed them. I absolutely was still autopiloting into drill on block, and that's still a bad habit I need to break. But I was really enjoying the variety of stuff I could do when I had the opponent blocking. 5D was a great hard to read overhead. I felt like P Fireball was getting a lot of good use, and overall I was just having a great time with this character. One move I haven't mentioned is his pole vault move. It covers a lot of space and I absolutely love this move, but I don't really know how I'm supposed to use it. I know there's like some ways, like if you 236S FRC, then you can like combo into it and then get like corner carry and that type of stuff, and it's useful in that way. But a lot of times I just thought it was a cool looking move and I just threw it out and I got punished for it, and I'll probably still just throw it out and get punished for it, but hey, whatever. As the month came to a close, there was still a lot of stuff I wanted to work on. The 236S FRC window was absolutely vital for Kliff's combo theory. Some days I was able to hit it every time, but a lot of times I would just constantly miss it and it would feel awful. Something I definitely need to nail down in my muscle memory. Kliff also has a lot of optimizations in his routing that I really wasn't doing. I just wanted to get a solid feel for this character. Like, he has optimal routes off stun, but I was for the most part just whacking them with 6H, comboing into 236S in the hopes of hitting an FRC, so I could whack them with another 6H and then do another 236S to set up Oki. 5K also has a route that allows it to combo into partial charge 6P in mid-screen, and that's only something like I kind of recently discovered or learned about, and I hadn't had time to implement it into my game. It looks like a really strong option. I just didn't get the chance to really explore that yet, but I feel like overall I had a good feel for the character and it's been a lot of fun, but optimization can come at a later time, I think. So let's talk and give an overview of my impressions of Kliff. His combos are so much fun. Overall, the theory for his combos it's pretty straightforward, mainly revolving about that FRC point I was talking about. He has some moves that are just so much fun to use. There's something about massive, slow, high damaging overheads that just fill me with complete joy. It started with Faust 6H, and I feel like Kliff somehow embodies the concept of Faust 6H just as an entire character. He's an absolute joy to press buttons with. Most of his routes can lead into solid Oki, so he can absolutely blender his opponents to death with a good opening. Kliff's neutral game is pretty interesting. He has these massive, slow buttons, which results in him playing a much more slower and calculated neutral, as a single whiff can just open you up for big damage, but if he does land a solid hit, he can easily just win the game off of it. A perfect embodiment of a high-risk, high-reward character. Defensively, Kliff is a pretty weird character. He has an interesting step dash that can low profile stuff, but overall it's pretty slow. So when he wants to move, a lot of times he has to approach via the air, but his aerial speed makes him pretty floaty, so a lot of times it's best to try to get your opponent to approach you, which leads to zoning being a pretty big weakness for him, or a patient and smart player will try to get Kliff to make a mistake or a bad read and then push that opening as far as they can. He has an interesting callout option and a sidestep, but it does have a chance of failing depending on his stun meter, so it does need to be used sparingly, but overall he has to work hard to get out of bad defensive situations, relying a lot on like just system mechanic stuff. Overall, I had an absolute blast playing him. I think he is a great character to mess around with, and he has fun optimizations for the more dedicated of players. While some might shy away from him because of how risky most of his options are, a smart and calculated player will absolutely know how to navigate the risks and will be rewarded heavily for it with some absolutely fun and massive damage dealing combos. Playing Kliff was such a fun experience. Alright, so there's the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this format. I had a lot of fun. I kind of want to do this with the full roster. I know that would take like 25 characters, so that would take over 2 years to do, but I kind of want to do it. I really enjoy Plus R, and I think it would be a great experience to just kind of like learn a little bit about every character, and it would also kind of help me navigate those matchups as I'm playing other people and like know what to expect. Plus R is just such a deep and fun game, and each character kind of almost feels like their own game. I just want to play everyone, and that's like gargantuan task, I know, but like maybe I'll do it. Is there any characters people would like me to check out next? I think I'm gonna do Abba. Abba's always been a character that's interested me, and I've dabbled with her a little bit, and she's overall just a really fun character to play, so I think I'm gonna do Abba next. But any other character recommendations, make sure to drop a comment, and maybe they'll influence me on who I do next. I don't know. Zap is also a really cool character. Robokai is also another one I think are like high priority. But overall, I'm open to playing anyone, and I think it's overall going to be a really fun experience. But as always, keep playing fighting games and have a good rest of your day.